Welcome, everyone, to Truth, Wellness, and Psychic Adventures. Get ready for unedited, unfiltered, and unbiased talks with Polly and Kristin, because life is unedited. Are you ready to experience your highest vibrational life, seek truth, and improve your overall wellness? You're in the right place. With tales of psychic experiences and expansive living, we are covering topics that bring the mystical into our everyday lives. Intrigued? Call us now at 1-800-930-2819. We are guiding callers toward their highest expression of self. You get not one, but two psychic life coaches. Your soul's sacred journey to truth is important to us. No question is too big or too small. Stay tuned. You're about to join in on a wild psychic ride. Truth, Wellness, and Psychic Adventures starts now. Hey, good morning. It's Kristin and Polly on Truth, Wellness, and Psychic Adventures. Polly, how are you?
Oh, fabulous. Thank you for asking, but just bubbly. Just like super good.
I'm so glad. I am so excited for our guest today. Polly introduced me to him, and honestly, we're just meeting right now, but I'd love to do a bit of a deep dive. And we have with us today Troy Griffin. He is an internationally acclaimed intuitive medium. You've probably heard or seen him on TV. What I love, he's got a massive resume and is very skillful and very helpful. What I love are just the mystery crime situations. And I have heard so many podcasts with him helping to solve the crimes. He comes in, they need some help, and there he is. So I can't wait to get started here and find out more about you. Troy, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, absolutely. Polly, how did you first meet Troy?
So Troy is he's involved in a lot, but he's involved in, he had reached out to do some type of collaboration.
Cool.
And so then I was like, well, who is this person? So then I Googled him, as you will, right?
As one does.
So I actually signed up for a reading because if it's somebody that I would ever consider doing something with, I like to have a reading because that's how I really figure out, okay, what do they like? So the reading was like a month ago. It was on the 28th. I just looked at that, like, I don't know how on my email.
Yeah.
But what I really liked about Troy is he's a normal person. He doesn't speak in riddles, right?
That's a compliment. To be called a normal person these days is a huge compliment.
Like people that are grounded, that are normal, you can have a normal conversation that you're not leaving like, what did he mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
So, and what you said, helpful. Like he's very helpful, but I love that he has the ability to get the nuances of your life, right? Those little nuances of the people around you that he would have no way of knowing.
Yes.
And to me, that's what's really important. Like, what can they get that's not found on the internet? Because you can get a whole bunch of stuff on the internet, Instagram, whatever, weddings, blah, blah, blah. The nuances of who they are, you cannot get. The nuances of their childhood, right? Like that stuff is very important to me. And also, I guess what you said, being helpful, right? That's another thing. It's like, okay, I'm giving you this information, but what am I supposed to do with it? And so I think that that's a really, he's very gifted in giving you the information, but not feeling like he just, dumped a truckload of cement on your feet.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. Right? Yes, exactly. I always love when we meet someone who is super intuitive and a gifted psychic medium. I love to hear how it all came to be, how you first discovered that you had these gifts. If anyone's listening and you would like to call in and talk to Troy, 1-800-930-2819. We always take questions and would love to hear from you. But Troy, what can you tell us about like how it all came to be for you?
Okay, so actually for me, I try to avoid the word being psychic, intuitive, until I was 40. And I went to a gift shop to get a card for my anniversary from a gift shop that I knew the owner and has special cards that she liked. And she reads cards, and her friend came in and was introduced, and she asked me if I was a psychic. And I never said this before my life. It was when I was 40 and I said yes. And she told me she was working on a case for the Bronx Police Department of a missing person. And, I don't know where it came from, but it just came out of here's what happened. She's deceased. Here's where she's buried. Here's what was used. Here's who's involved. And so after that, I surprised myself. So, of course, on the way home, I'm thinking, where'd that come from?
Did you
What's the
question it
deal?
at all, or were you absolutely certain?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, well, when it came out, I didn't question anything. Of course, on the way home, I questioned everything. I do come from a Christian background. My wife's a pastor's daughter. And I thought, wow, I haven't said yes in 40 years to being a psychic, and I pretty much avoided that. And so I found out about 3, 4 weeks later that I was correct, and the Bronx Police Department wanted to contact me, and that didn't make her happy. And so worked on that case, and then a few weeks later, I had another case that came into a dream, and I usually don't dream. And so I went up and looked at the basic information and gave my information that ended up being correct. Not 100% correct. Nobody's 100%, but a good chunk of it was correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent 30 days soul searching, praying, meditating, asking, wow, what am I supposed to do? If this is my calling, then I'm going to go for it. And that was almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you take your day-to-day life and how you lived and how everybody knew who Troy was and incorporate this new skill set that you were suddenly aware of? How did you do that?
So for me, it just was natural. It was just a
Yeah.
progression that I didn't even really tell anybody what I was doing. So, when you do investigations, and I specialize in unsolved murders, um, you work behind the scenes because you could imagine how a community or the public would react to the psychic solved a crime. I mean, the detective's ego and the police department. So you really work behind the scenes. So for most of it, a lot of people didn't know what I did. My life, I have very few true friends that I would open up about my gifts, and I don't associate with other intuitives really. So it was just the work that I did behind the scenes, and then I really didn't take credit for it. Word of mouth started going around, and that's really how I picked up business. And then an article was written about me in the New York Post, and that's when it became more public, and that started more of the public side.
Wow. What was your wife's reaction when you told her what had happened? And I mean, I'm just trying to imagine
Well,
how that went.
uh, I don't necessarily know if it surprised her. She
Okay.
knew that I was intuitive.
Hmm.
My mother here in Los Angeles, my mother from another mother, um, I lived in Los Angeles when I was 18 and did talk radio. And when I would leave, she would give me these books about how to develop your psychic gifts. And I would look at her like she was crazy. So when I get to the car rental place, I said, well, who's going to read this? And I threw them away. So I think my wife's kind of the same way. She kind of knew that I was intuitive. But when it came to this, it was really, I don't know if it really surprised her. I think it surprised her that my gifts led me to go into this particular direction.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you get the pings, is it more like you just know, or do you hear, or how does it come to you, the information?
So for me, I see pictures, places, and things. And because it's natural, I've never been to a development class or anything. I just know.
Okay.
What I ask for when I do an investigation is send me a photo of the person and the last known location. That's all I want to know. I don't want to know anybody's opinions. I don't know what you want to know what you found. And then if I look through the victim's eyes, if I can connect, then I can remote you from place to place. And then as it just comes in and pictures places, and sometimes you just know. I don't know where it comes from. It comes from God, obviously, because I do believe in God. So I just know, and it just leads me into the direction.
That's
So
awesome.
how do you stay I personally don't like um doing that type of work. It just so how do you stay so that it doesn't affect you, right? How do you stay clean, if you will?
So what you have to learn, and I think it's in our businesses general and what we do, is you have to treat it like a business.
Yeah.
And I'm very empathic, and I think that helps me a lot. But what I had to learn is that I have to step back afterwards and I have to breathe and I have to realize it's just a business and I'm doing it for the victim, that I can't keep this within me. And I think for me, it's cathartic, like people writing books and stuff, when I let it out, when I give my report. I know I've done the best that I can. And to be honest with you, there are some cases that you can't let go that do affect you.
Yeah.
And, I have one case that affected me because the whole case, the people were the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, the devil must have spit them up. And those cases, stay with me. And, the things that you see in the cases stay with you because you can't get rid of those
Right.
visuals anymore. But, I'm doing what I believe God wanted me to use my gifts for overall. And again, I do it for the victim, not the police, the family. I'm trying to find clues and answers and some justice for the victim. So once I'm done and I get in my report, I have to look at it just like any other business, and I have to put the file away and I have to let it go.
Yeah.
So when you did, because you've done some of these on TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you've done those on TV, do you, because I've done two things on TV, and for me, I didn't get the information. Like I didn't get to see it. I didn't get any idea of what the finished product was until the world got the finished product. So when you were doing it, did you get to see like how it was resolved, like how the information was used, like how did you get to see the product before it went out to the public? Yeah. So how do you deal with that comfortably?
You have to have thick shoulders, broad shoulders, thick skin. A lot of times when things come out, and one of them I did that ended up on Netflix, I didn't know it came out till a journalist called me. I was actually at the coffee shop and a journalist from Oxygen called me and said, "Hey, we saw you on this show. Wondering if you could answer some questions." And at the coffee shop, I'm dumbfounded. I'm thinking, well, what are you talking about? What show did you see that I don't know about? And so I'm like you, I don't get to see the end product. And to be honest with you, I don't watch them when they're out.
Right.
That's,
Kristin, that's the same way with me. I haven't watched the last one. I will not watch it.
No.
But I think the caliber of my last show and what you do is a different caliber, perhaps.
Yeah. The reason I don't watch myself, and a lot of actors say this too, is I will go back and critique myself, or I'll say, "Oh, did I miss this? I should have said this about this." And so I don't do that. So I'm very harsh on myself when I critique myself. So I honestly don't read my interviews, articles, or watch the shows I'm in.
You have such a healthy mindset.
It is totally healthy, but I also look at it like, in particular, the last one I did, where I just felt like, because there was a bit of a cheese factor, and so I just felt like they're spinning it, right? They're spinning it because they're always spinning it. I mean, they just are. They're always spinning it. And so is the truth spun heavily enough into it, I guess?
Well, the thing about TV and one show I did, and again, the reporter called me, and then I got 1,000 emails about what I should do with myself, being a psychic and whatever, they do spin it to a certain point, and really what they're looking for is that dramatic, that controversial. Yeah. Again, when I do TV, except for the one I did on the CW, when I did this other show for Netflix, I was hired by the family. So to me, I went and did what I would do normally, and not worry about what they spin it as. And again, that's why I don't watch it, because again, I know that they're going to sensationalize it, dramatize it. But I went there to do what I did, and I accomplished what I was hired to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good way, especially if there's a family involved and you're helping the family. That's huge.
Yeah. And that's why I don't look how they spin it, because again, I was there to do a job, and I did my job, and I came up with what they needed. And whatever TV wants to make it, let them make it.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah, because it is TV, and they're trying to get views, and they're trying to make it way more exciting and deep than it possibly was, the healing process. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. hmm Yeah, and again, like I said, people who know me and know my work know who I am, and TV is just that facade. And I do still like doing TV.
Hmm.
But what I've learned is you have to have some stipulations, and I can't tell you what the end product's going to be, but I'm not going to change who I am, and I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to be a scripted actor.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, as long as I come in with my truth, and I do what I can do,
But
then
see, that's the difference. That's what I love about you. And I know Kristin does, because it's not about showmanship for you.
mm-mm,
And that's the thing. There's so many people that are in our line of work, and
Mhm.
it's all about showmanship, including the readings. And so that's what I love about you, is that you are a genuine person, right? That receives messages, but you also are here to help people. And that's the difference.
I keep coming back to that word helpful. Like it's just
Yes.
the vibe. Yeah.
well, I'm just like you guys. There are good people in our industry, like all of us here.
Hmm.
It's it's the ones that aren't good, or the ones that TV have taken and put that sensationalism or that scripted version to it.
Hmm.
Um, for me in TV, that's the thing I have to conquer, is that I always say when people hire me, if you're looking at this quote unquote psychic on TV, I'm the complete opposite. If you think
Right.
I do that, it ain't going to happen. So, unfortunately, the half dozen people that's very popular on TV make us all look cheesy, makes us all look bad.
You're so right.
And,
Yeah.
so my goal is to conquer that. And so when I went into TV years ago, and saying I would do so, when I got in TV, I got in TV with one of Hollywood's A plus plus producers. And the reason I decided to do it, because my favorite word I think I'm realizing these days is no, 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 right? Do you want to do TV? No. Do you want to do this? No. Do you want to? But I did it. And it really came to me soul searching and praying. And it was like, if I could show people on a mass scale that there's people like me who are true and will be honest, and, here's for a reason to help people move forward, find closure, answer, then maybe I can change TV. So I'm going to do this. And that's how I decided to go into TV.
Oh, I love
And
that.
I also like Kristin and I, all the time, like whether we're together or hiking or whatever, or whether we're doing this, we always say, thank you, God. I mean, literally, we always say
Absolutely.
it, but it's just like it just like flies off our mouth. And I think that that's the thing, is that you can have that component
Hmm.
in this, because it's as much a part of who we are and what we do as anything, right? And aligning ourselves with that awareness.
And it's
Absolutely.
contagious. Just like
It
Troy was
is.
saying, like you do your part and it does trickle out. This weekend, my son and his friends were like frantic about getting somewhere on time. And then just magically the deadlines changed and they were able to get there. And I go, oh, thank you, God. And one of them
Yeah,
looked at me and he was like, yeah, thank you, God. And I thought,
that's great. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's just it's it's very refreshing, but I think not everybody can wrap their head around.
No.
But for me, being a psychic is as much my it's a big component of my spirituality. Like my ability to do what I do and to see and hear and to know what I know is a huge part of my spiritual beliefs.
Well, it's the essence of you. It's who God made you. It's
Right.
a part of, your spirit, your soul. It's who you are.
mhm,
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, so I know that there are some people that are like amazing psychics. Like they have the ability, I mean, oh my gosh, like blow
Hmm.
you away. But in the same sense, whether they're suffering from PTSD or they're addicted to something, they have that layer of it comes through that. So their messages are tainted, if you will, So even though they get those amazing messages, they are still touched by their PTSD or their alcoholism or whatever. Does that make sense to you? Do you agree that there's people that are just amazingly psychic, like can get these things that are crazy, but it's not as healthy? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think experiences like PTSD also awakens the senses.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of one person but he also.
I was diagnosed with PTSD from my childhood, um, and I don't know if that really affects my work, but it feels like a lot of people really come into their spirituality when something tragic happens.
Right.
Yes.
It opens it up, and I think for me, I always tell people in my particular case, and your guys's too, and the work you do, it's the experiences that we have had or been through that helps make us the best we can be in what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though I get these messages, I wouldn't know how to translate them in a lot of instances if I haven't been through that experience.
Yes.
One thing that I hate is I always hate this and always have is when something happens, tragically happens, and people come up and go, "Oh, I know how you're feeling." Let's take that your mother passed away, your father, and they go, "Oh, I know how you're feeling," but theirs are still living.
Right.
No, you don't know how I'm feeling.
Right.
So I think that these experiences of what we went through, either this life before or whatever, is what makes us very good at what we do, and we can bring that into helping others move forward. Because if we didn't go through that, how can we help you move forward?
Mm-hmm.
No, I totally agree with you. I guess my thing was more if I think it's probably more substance abuse when people suffer substance abuse or have other things where they're not as emotionally stable.
Yeah. Right.
That's probably the ticket.
I agree with that. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then also it does come from, I mean, because we're all people. So when we get a ping of intuition, it does come like through us in some capacity. So I'm always, and I believe as a Pilates instructor, everyone should be moving their bodies. So even when I'm not even thinking about Pilates and I'm talking with someone, I'm like, oh, I think your hamstrings should probably stretch out. You know, there's some capacity of me and my deep beliefs that like come out.
Yeah.
That was kind of a abstract example, but you know what I mean? Like it does come out in some capacity.
Yeah, but all psychics, I use the word a lot, real or true psychics. We're healers. I mean, the reason we do what we do to help them move forward or find closures, we're helping them heal. So you as a Pilates instructors, when you think, oh, they need that, you're a healer. You're trying to heal the soul and the body and everything as one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your natural ability. And that makes you very good at what you do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And thank you. And passionate about it. And passionate about long hamstrings.
Yes.
Yeah, but you really do help people. I mean, you're very good at like, she's very good at what she does for sure.
Well, you both are excellent at what you do. You know, we just do it in a different way. Mm-hmm. Each of us do it differently. You know, you guys talk about God, and I love it that you do believe in God. And one thing that was said to me early on from my brother-in-law, who's a pastor, he said, you know, I said a lot of times my readings, and you guys can tell me if you guys do this too, have some sort of religion in them. Seems like religion really comes up in my conversations a lot. And he said, maybe what you guys do is you minister God's words in a non-traditional way.
I love that.
Absolutely.
And I thought, I'm okay with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's so funny because I searched, like, I was not raised, I mean, anyhow, everybody has a history, but I searched for like having a church, like as a little kid, didn't have it, but I did have that connection to God.
Yes, I've searched for church too, and it hasn't worked.
Right. And like God is my safe zone. Like if I'm going to think of anything spiritual, it always goes through God and Jesus. And like that's my comfort zone. That's where I believe it all began. So I'm coming at it from that place because that's what feels right for me.
Do you think we're a rare breed? And when we talk about that God is our source, do you think we're a rare breed?
I don't think we're a rare breed in what we believe, but I think labels have made things really convoluted. And sometimes the idea of church now gives people a bad taste in their mouth because of something they experienced that was just unfortunate, or because of something they saw in the media. But I think if we took the labels and the stigma out of all of it, I think our core beliefs are very common.
And also mediumship. Mediumship has been, it definitely takes people to another element of that's not God's work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. People are very judgmental, and they also are very judgmental on the church. I have experiences, and I tell people sometimes a story about a church I went to, and the pastor, you know, um, said that his wife's friend had prophetic dreams, but yet when I had a group reading and invited him to come see what I do, he wrote me 2 books about how he's going to help me find Jesus and God, and and so it's people are black and white, and many people are followers, and we're not followers, we're leaders.
Mm-hmm.
But we're natural born, and we're not leading to cause harm. We're leading to cause healthy prosperity,
Peace.
positive. Yeah.
Peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like for people to have comfort, to feel at peace in their life, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Like to be okay in your life and not feel the perpetual struggle of, right? Like of
Mm-hmm.
wanting, constantly wanting.
Completely. Like,
Yeah.
just be happy.
Well, the thing is that we're fighting that upward battle, and especially in today's environment, we're fighting that. It's an upward battle,
It
and
is.
so it's a daily struggle for a lot of us, and doing what we do and who we are, I think we hurt the most internally because we want to help. We know it's better out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it becomes kind of a struggle.
It
Yeah,
does.
it's interesting. But I love that you joined us, and I love that we're able to have this conversation. I love that. So thank you. Because
Completely.
Like it,
there's so much more to it than just being able to do the readings, right?
Oh,
There's
absolutely, there is.
so
We're going to
much.
go to break really quick. We're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, I want to talk some real estate endeavors with you because I did
Fun.
read some things. So this will be
you
exciting.
did okay.
All right. So we'll be right back after break.
All right.
Hey, welcome back to Truth, Wellness, and Psychic Adventures with Kristin and Polly. And today we have Troy Griffin with us. Super excited to continue our conversation with him. Real quick, our call-in number is 1-800-930-2819. If you're interested in getting any kind of assistance on anything in your life, we are happy to help. Nothing is too big or too small for us. Troy, over break, or even before break, I teased a little bit that I wanted to ask you about your assistance in the real estate market. And I'm guessing you have some clients that you can kind of advise them, but I would love to hear more about how you help out in real estate and what that's been like.
So there's several things that I love is in real estate. I like older homes because I have a capability of walking into an older home and telling you the history from when it was first built, who lived there, what happened there, who was there. In some hotels, like the Stanley Hotel, I could tell you what presidents were in what room, things that the public doesn't know. So what I like to do in real estate, helping out as real estate, is I believe that every home has a story, or the land around it has a story. So I like going in and I like picking up the energy and telling that story. I have a good friend that's a historian, so I'll say blah, 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 and he'll go double check me and bring the stuff back. So that's one thing that I like. My real estate clients, some of them will come to me and, they say, I have this listing that's not selling. It's over in a few weeks. Can you help me? And I'll go into the home and I'll feel the energy. I'm not, I don't do sage and stuff, but I do have some stuff I mix up. And I just go in and I tell them where the energy needs to change. And that helps sell the house. I'm probably, everything that I've been to has sold. I think I was off by a week on one. Or they'll just say, hey, this is who the people that came through the open house, is one of them a buyer? And I'll say yay. And so I get called a lot on that. It's a house not selling. What can we do? Um, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, real estate is really, I think I like the architecture about real estate, but I also like going in and telling the stories. And I think that adds value to any home is when you know the story,
Oh,
whether it's good
absolutely.
or bad.
Yeah.
If it was something that tragically happened there, that doesn't mean spirit's still there. And if it is, are they good? Are they bad? Do they want to stay? Do they want to go? And my experience at 9 out of 10 is they just want their story to be told and then they can move on.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
So when you're in the home, you can connect with the spirits that are still there and just kind of figure out what they need.
yeah, an example is I went to an open house here in Los Angeles, and I don't know if you guys remember the Charles Manson Sharon Tate event that happened, and Sharon was murdered. And I was in a house on this street and I walk around with the realtor and she said, we've had this listing for almost 6 months and it's not selling. I walked into this living room and I go, wow, there's something not right in this living room. This has a lot of negative energy. And, a few seconds later, a couple of minutes maybe, I said, wow, there was a phone call made here about a murder. And the realtor looked at me and she said, do you know where you're at? And I said, I have no idea where I am. I'm at your open house. And she said, well, the Sharon Tate murders happened 2 doors up. And so I came back and I researched and found out that the call to the police department was made from a neighbor's house
Oh,
on the
interesting.
murders.
Oh, I just
And
got goosebumps.
so in that sense, when, they actually got an offer on the house about a week later, and the realtor said, we had a sense that something was lifted. And I said, well, sometimes they just want the story to be told. This is where this happened. And so it's just doing things like that. Again, there was a story there and it wasn't anything necessarily negative. They just used the phone for something that was negative, something that was tragic. It was just part of the story.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you ever
And I'm
come
not a
into a
ghost
home?
hunter.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm not a ghost hunter. So I don't go in looking for ghosts and I don't use recordings and I don't,
Right, the
that
tools.
stuff. Huh?
The tools, the squawk box,
Yeah, that stuff's kind of
whatever
weird
they
for me.
use.
So, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't see people behind people, and I can see, different changes in the light or whatever. And, it's
Yeah.
really the sense that you feel, but I don't see, you know,
Okay, what's your
Sally.
belief on you remember when we went to Jerome and who was it that came? Was it I can't remember the person's name, Jeff or Joey or Rob or whoever it was
Timmy,
that came. Timmy. Tommy.
Tommy.
Tommy came through. Okay, so Tommy came through. So and I knew nothing about Jerome. So when a spirit comes through, do you believe that they're still roaming around there until somebody helps them to the light, or do you believe that they just come through and want their story told?
I think they're there, and they wonder for some unsettled business, or again, they just want somebody to know maybe the truth
Yeah.
of what happened. When you say the Jerome, is that the Hotel Jerome?
Jerome in Arizona. It's very cool
Okay.
little town. Yeah, super
Oh,
cool.
okay. Yeah, because Aspen has a Hotel Jerome. That's got some history to it.
It's
Yeah.
very cool. If you ever want to join us there.
Yeah, I do want to join you.
It
Yeah,
would be so much fun to do
it
like a
would be
live thing.
awesome.
And to do
Yeah.
it without, because we did a part of a retreat there. And so I was just picking up messages, but then we had we did a little ghost tour. The ghost tour was like, no.
It
Yeah.
wasn't, but that was the way we got to go into the cemetery in the dark at
So
night.
we
I think
did. Yeah, exactly. So we did we heard so then we heard the history, but it was really interesting because I was hearing the history
Yeah.
from Tommy, who was coming through and talking about the stuff in the town, which I would not have known except we did the little tour. So that
yeah.
was
Right.
We
There,
went, if they had converted it into like a little convenience store, and we had gone in to use the restrooms there, and then we came back out and we were chit-chatting, and Polly was like, oh, I just connected with Tommy, and he was showing her like an old time car. And then when
yeah.
we went on like the ghost tour, Polly asked, like, what used to happen here? And she said
It's like
that
going round and around
they
and
would
around.
cruise and like parade their cars.
They
And that was
couldn't
what he
drive
did.
out of Jerome. They had to just drive round and around and around. And that was Tommy's thing. Like he loved the car, the round and the round
But
and the round.
that's great for us when we have somebody that can verify what we're seeing, and it helps. It makes it a lot of fun.
Mhm.
One thing that I will tell you is when I go to places that scare me or I'm out of there. I did a film shoot in New York at this one house, and it was the caretaker lived there, and his wife and daughter, 6 years old, moved out when she said she walked into the daughter's room and Barbies were flying in the air, and she knew her daughter was talking in the corner and stuff. So I do this film shoot, and it's the last day, and the door, the stairs are sideways to the door, and the caretaker, he's probably was in his 30s, walking up the stairs, about halfway up the first set of stairs, and I said, this house has you possessed. And I swore his head spun around, and he said, I know, and I'm not leaving. I was like, oh, I'm out of there. I was across the street. I was gone. I was like, this has
Oh,
got
holy
over.
moly.
Not gonna, nope, I'm out. So,
Oh man, that
if I
gives me
go
the
somewhere
ick.
and I split, I'm splitting because no, ain't doing it. Nope.
When I was
So,
like 12, so I always had some abilities. And I think I was like 12. So it was like pre-adolescent stuff or right around adolescence. And I started to get like kind of scared at night. And I know that so many people have this, but the flippin' desk moved. Like the desk moved and I saw stuff flying and like physical things flying in the air, not just like, and that was scared the bejesus. But I really feel it was just because I had so much going on that I didn't know, right? Like you don't always know what to connect. I didn't know how to connect to what I wanted to connect with, but
right.
seeing a physical thing move, like a big desk, like the drawer, it was scary.
Was this in your bedroom as a little girl?
Yeah, I think I was around 12.
Yeah, because you can't just get up and run out of your bedroom and never go back.
I did. I did because I mean, look at even right now, if I'm sitting here and I saw a piece of furniture jump up and down, I'd be like, okay, well, something's going on.
I have a question for you guys. When you said you went to the cemetery at night, do you ever have a problem? I love going to cemeteries, by the way, but do you have a problem walking across the grass when you're in cemetery?
The grass is okay, but I don't want to walk across their graves. I thought that's what you're going to say.
Well, some people do. I can personally not walk on the grass between the grave sites. I have to stay on the road or the sidewalk.
I can see
I can walk up.
It just feels off.
Yeah, I can walk up to certain tombstones, but I just can't walk. It makes me sick. When I have things that come so intense, I feel physically ill, and I can get physically ill. But I have to stay on the sidewalk or the road. So a lot of times when you see me in a cemetery, I'm walking down the middle of the road.
Oh, how interesting. Yeah.
But they're showing me it's like if you try to touch the grass in between, you're not really touching it. It's like you're not making that you don't get grounded. You're not grounded. Yeah. It's like another thing that they're showing me is like if you walked between two graves, it's like you are on more connected with one of the graves than the other. It's not like your medium road. You're not grounded and you're still connected to that other one and you're not able to feel right. Does that make sense?
It makes all the sense in the world. Yeah.
So it is very uncomfortable because you're not in the middle. So I totally understand how you feel.
I love it though. I love going to cemeteries, especially the old cemeteries. One of my favorite things to do. So there you go. Some people learn about me, something nobody knew.
I know.
Yeah.
We used to go when I was little, we would go to my grandparents' house, and it was my grandparents and my mom and all her brothers and their kids. And my dad would always take my sister and I to visit his parents' gravestone. And we would play on the gravestones and the big Coliseum as if it was a playground. And so in hindsight, that was kind of weird. But at the time, like we were very comfortable from the get-go. And we would talk to the people, like read there. And there was a bench and it was Pollyanna. And I always like, let's go see Pollyanna. And I think I was never scared of cemeteries, probably for that reason. I always equated them like, oh, that's a fun place.
That's very sweet. That's very sweet to be like, you're showing you're going to go visit Pollyanna, and that's very sweet.
And I still
Yeah.
remember her name. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I like things. I like going to places that have a bit of a scare to them or a history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
I like that
that's
a lot.
interesting to me because I feel like I like Jerome, and okay, so I did this Goofy Bigfoot show, but the thing about that, and I had no idea what they said they wanted a medium, and so I like hopped off the helicopter, and I knew nothing about it, and so I was tuning into all the people involved on the island before, like the history of the people of the island. I got the story of two brothers. I got the story of anyhow, I got a whole bunch of people stuff. I hopped off the helicopter and they wanted me to to figure out this Bigfoot thing. And so, but what was the most interesting thing is like feeling energy is very easy for me. And so I could tell like where it didn't feel good to people, right? Like what part of the island, like I was like a little beacon for that. And that was fine, but there was like one rock that I didn't want to stay, like I didn't feel comfortable in staying at. And so I don't know. Maybe I'd be different if I was with you going to some place that has a little scare factor to it. Because if they really don't feel good to me, like if I feel like something really crazy, well, I'll use the word crazy, but something worse. It doesn't feel good to me, and that's like I don't want to hang out here.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. What island did you go to?
Oh, it was an island in Alaska.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If it doesn't feel good or it feels evil, I'm not staying there.
No,
No.
no, and it's the same. Anyhow, yes, absolutely. And
Yeah.
there's well, enough said. Yes, and so just like learning to honor that.
Mm-hmm.
There's in a place in Colorado called Golden. It has lots of history. It was going to be the capital, but there's a old bar restaurant there that I can't go past the threshold.
Oh, interesting. I
Really?
didn't know.
I know
Was
that a
there a
young girl
hanging
died in
there?
this. What's that?
Was there a hanging? Was there a hanging there?
The whole town had hangings. It was the old gunsling, and it was going to be the capital of Colorado. So it's
That's what
really
I'm
great to
getting.
walk down the
Hangings.
town, and I can tell you this, this, and this. But there's one bar. The only thing I know about this bar, it was there in the 1800s. But a girl died in the swim pool, and they didn't close the swim pool up. They just put a dance floor over it. Um, but I cannot go past the threshold, and I've been there for years and years. I do haunted hay rides there, Halloween stuff there, and it's just the one place in the entire town I can't go past the threshold.
Interesting.
Wow.
Can't do it.
Have you had any other buildings like in the homes or anything where you try to go in and it's like, oh, I can't?
The one that I did in New York for the caretaker, that was one that I had to get my, I say, kahunas, and I had to really force myself to go in there. When they came up to the drive, I was like, no, can't do it. And there was a little shopping center across the street with a little restaurant. And that's where I was. I just could only go there to do what I needed to do. And besides that, I had to stay across the street. Sometimes it takes me, I have to compose myself, I guess. I always pray and ask for protection. And then I breathe and, hold my breath and pray.
You know what's interesting? So you said that if you're going to do like a detective thing, you look at the person's eyes. If they have a picture, you look at their eyes. And the only time, well, I don't know if it's the only time, but one specific person, if I look at his photo in the eyes, it's the eyes that I'm like, this is not good. Like I pick up like this, it's like, this is not good. I can't even look at a picture of him ever again because it's the flippin' eyes.
Right. And again, I have those situations too, those times, but then I have to reflect on why am I doing this for? Because sometimes I have to look through the killer's eyes to see what I'm missing. And so, in that sense, again, I always pray before my readings. I pray before I do any work. And when I come to those pictures, I may have to put it down, but then I have to, let myself know this is why I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it helps find closure, answers, hopefully justice, then, protect me, guide me, Let's go for it.
What about, do you get like just random national news? I mean, that's just like something that I get, like, I'll just get like like the bridge that collapsed. I'll just get like these random
Yeah.
things, and I used to like write them and share them, and now I'm just like, that's very interesting, but I don't even, so I think that's what's so interesting is how we pick up we all pick up different things.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. I don't watch enough of the news, but I don't pick those things up. I mean, they don't surprise me when it happens. I'm never but I don't pick those things up. No.
That's the strangest things will be shown to me. And I like that one I told you, I was like falling asleep and it was like so intense that it was so bizarre that I called a friend before I went to sleep because it was just like so crazy. And then it came out in the news the next day.
That's wild.
But I don't normally, it's not something that I do something with. It's not something, it's just like, okay, I have it, but.
Right. I do have to give a confession because sometimes when I know this is bad and please don't strike me down. Like, I don't know if you guys ever did this, but I'll go somewhere and I just feel like there's something wrong there.
Yes.
And I'm afraid to go in. So I send my friends first.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
Note to self, if we go to Jerome with Troy and he's like, ladies first, we'll be like,
guys go
okay.
first. Yeah.
But the thing is, here's the thing, your friends might not be susceptible to what you are picking up, right? Because I do believe that it's energy, right? And that we are probably more impacted by things than other people who could just breeze through and be like, oh my God, the taco salad was amazing.
Makes me feel better, right? Something's going to happen. Let it tell so I can run. I don't know. It's just this. I mean, you don't want to be the first one, do you? I don't. Maybe you've seen too many movies. You don't want to be the first one. You want to be able to run.
Right.
So I'll let them go in first.
Oh, that's funny.
Do they know that? Have they caught on?
Yeah, they have. But But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just the human side, right? If something's going to happen, you don't want to be the first one, right? You want to be
that's common sense.
Tell the story. So.
Well, what about oh, sorry.
I was just going to ask about like mundane things, like you lose your keys. Are you able to like find them immediately? Do you have a system to nope?
No. And what happens to me, and I don't know if it happens, I'm sure it happens to you guys. Where I live, strange things happen. Like, I do know where I put my keys every night when they're not there. Then you know what? No, I don't know where they're at because I know where I left them.
Right.
And my wife, we all have intuition, but hers is pretty low. She even notices things that happen. Like going on in my house now, I have 2 of those candles that are battery operated. And I haven't changed the batteries in probably 2 years, but yet at certain times in the night, they'll come on.
Oh, isn't that, I love that.
And I'm fine with it, right? Because I think I know who it is and whatever. But, there's little things like things are taken off the wall. The nails are still left there. It used to drive her crazy, but I've been married for 33 years and now it's at the point where to me, it's like, whatever. She still gets upset. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So yeah,
that's funny, but you're right. Like sometimes that was validating for me to hear because probably in the last few months I have been losing things, but nothing super important, just little things that I'll be like, okay. And I know where I put things. Granted, I do have 3 teenagers, but they usually don't touch my stuff. So it's interesting that you say that. Does that ever happen to you, Polly?
I can talk about so the house in Alaska had a ton of activity, and especially around Christmas time, a ton.
Oh, interesting.
The house in Phoenix had some activity. This house, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of noises, but I think it's just because it's a really tall house. Okay. So I don't feel like anything's like, it feels kind of, it doesn't feel like there's something like the Phoenix house.
Gotcha.
Is there any orbs? Have you seen any orbs?
No, but I'll tell you, like the grounds around it, like the trees. I feel very protected here. Like I feel very like the trees around it are very protected. I feel like it's a strong place for me to be. Had no idea I was going to buy it because I was going to get something different. And here I
It feels
am.
like it's a sanctuary for you. It does feel like a safe place for you.
Yeah,
really
Oh,
does.
it does.
sanctuary. That's the word. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what
Mhm.
I'm telling the decorator is make it my sanctuary. Like, yeah. So thank you for that. Okay,
It
well, we have
grounds you
to do
there.
this. We have to do this again, but we're almost running out of time. So, Troy, how can people find out more about you?
They can visit my website at Psychic Medium Troy. So it's psychicmediumtroy.com. And, or you can Google my name and find everything you didn't want to know about me. But the website's the best way.
Okay, perfect. And I can attest, because he did a reading for me, and he's easy to talk to, obviously. He is going to give you information, helpful information, like we said, but also know the nuances, like know things that it's impossible for him to get any other way, impossible for him to know any other way. And that's it.
Yes.
Thank you.
He works from a good place. That's the other thing. He works from a
Thank
good
you. And you guys do too. So I enjoyed this and you guys have really touched me. I mean, I'm
Aw.
honored and the things that you do on this show, it's just absolutely awesome and amazing. And I hope you continue your work. And
Oh,
I look
thank
forward
you,
to working
Troy.
with you guys someday. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Absolutely.
yeah, you are the best.
Thank you so much.
You are.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
joining
guys.
us on Truth, Wellness, and Psychic Adventures. If you're looking for Polly, you can connect with her, pollywyram.com. You can find me at garagepilates.net. And of course, Troy at psychicmediumtroy.com. So thank you for joining us. And we are out of time. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Blessings, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again, Troy.
Bye.
Thanks for calling into Truth, Wellness, and Psychic Adventures. We are psychic life coaches, Polly and Kristin, taking your calls at 1-800-930-2819 every second and fourth Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific on transformationtalkradio.com. To work with us individually, visit pollywyram.com and garagepilates.net. Follow us on Instagram at truth.wellness.psychic and at Polly_Wyram and at Garage Pilates. We can't wait to share the next episode with you.